Hey guys, today we are going to start talking about 3D shapes and more specifically slicing some different three-dimensional shapes. We're going to start by slicing rectangular prisms and really we're looking at something called a cross-section. So a cross-section is the 2D shape made when we slice through a 3D shape, so a three-dimensional shape. And we have two different types of cross-sections that we're going to talk about. So to start out, we are going to go ahead and talk about a vertical slice. So I'm going to scroll up just so we have a little more space here and you can see this. All right, so a vertical slice is going to be a slice that is perpendicular to the base. Okay, and that means just that it is sliced up and down. Okay. It's identical to the front, back, or side of the 3D shape. So we can see the example here in the box. This shaded part is our cross section. That's the shape that we see. And we can see that that's the same as like our front and back shape. So that's going to be what our vertical slice looks like. We can also slice this way here. Still vertical, it's still up and down. And we can see that that shape that is formed is going to be identical to our sides here. Another type of slice that we have is a horizontal slice, and this is sliced parallel to the base. So we can see here, down here, this rectangle here is sliced, is parallel to our bases. This is sliced side to side. And this shape is going to be identical to the top or bottom of our three-dimensional shape. And we also call this slice a lateral slice. So when we were talking about our 3D shapes, we talked about lateral faces. This is called a lateral slice. So it's side to side. Okay. So at this point, I want you to do a little practice. You are actually going to log on to your Math Google Classroom and you're going to click the link for Slicing Rectangular Prisms activity. I'll show you where this is going in just a second, but you're going to take about 5 minutes to kind of play around with the website and you're going to try to answer these questions that are listed below. So this is the website that you are going to. And as you can see right up here, it says sections of rectangular prisms. And what you are going to do is just kind of use the controls over here so that you can kind of see some different cross sections. So on this right here, the height, it adjusts the height of your cross section. So from the bottom all the way up to the top, and you can kind of move that around as needed. Rotate one, we've got horizontal and vertical, so we can change our cross section. It kind of makes it diagonal all the way up to vertical. So you can kind of play around with that. Rotate two just has it turning more like side to side. We can kind of turn that around. And then we also have this box here where we can just kind of move it around within our three-dimensional shape over here. There are some other controls down here to change the transparency. You can make your cross section more or less transparent. So you can make that to where you can actually see through it or it's pretty solid there. And then you can do the same with your actual shape. So we can make the shape more transparent or less transparent as you want. So go ahead and take a little time and play with this. You'll take a few minutes. And you're just gonna, move it around, play around with this a little bit and see if you can answer those questions. So go ahead and pause your video and take a look at those questions, play around for a little bit, and then once you're finished, start your video again. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you played around on that site a little bit and you were able to answer your questions. As you can see, the answers are here, so you want to make sure you check to see if you got those correct. Looking at question 1, what 2D shape is made when you slice horizontally? That would give you a rectangle. Does the shape change by moving the slice up or down on the prism? So if we moved it kind of up or down, it did not change the shape, it still stayed the same rectangle. What 2D shape is made when you slice vertically and it is in line with the front and back? That gives us a rectangle as well. What 2D shape is made when you slice vertically and it is in line with the sides? Also gives us a rectangle. And what 2D shape is made when you slice diagonally from corner to corner? Also gives us a rectangle. So no matter how you slice a rectangular prism, you are going to get a rectangle. That's going to be the shape of your cross section. All right, so let's go ahead and go on to the back, and we are going to look at some examples, and we are going to see how they match up. So I'm going to make this a little smaller just so we can see. It says, tell which 2D cross-section matches the appropriate 3D prism. And now we actually have to look a little more closely at the dimensions. So we're going to take a look at, let's just look at this first one down here, and we are going to look at where the slice is. So there's a couple ways to look at this. If your cross section cuts through a side, so it's actually cutting through this long side here, that is not going to be one of our dimensions. So if we look at that, we can see that that is 12. And so we know that we're not going to be using 12. Instead, what we're looking at is this part here. So we want to know how wide that is, and that matches up with this front side here, which is 10. And then we're also looking at this side that cuts down, which is going to be the same as this side here, which this one and this side are going to be the same, so that's going to be 8. So we are looking for our 10 by 8 rectangle, which is going to be B. So cross that one out. All right, so now we're looking at the second rectangular prism, and again, we are cutting through right here. So we're going to look at our sides. So I'm going to look at this front section here, and again, I'm going to look, that's going to come down here to this measurement, which is 10, and then I'm going to look at this long side here, and that's our longest side, which is going to go with our 12. We can either go up or down to show this, but ultimately that is going to be 12. So what this is going to match up with is 10 by 12, which is C. Now, obviously, this is going to leave us with our last one, which is going to be A, but we're still going to take a look at what this is. So if I look, it cuts through my 10. So that already tells me it's not going to have a side length of 10, but we're still going to kind of look here. So this length here matches up over here with our 12, and this coming down the front is going to match up with our height of 8. So as we can see, this would be A because it has 8 and 12 as its dimensions. All right, so let's take a look at our last problem on these notes. This time we have to actually identify what our dimensions are. And it says, just as what are the dimensions of the cross section, we can see the cross section is cutting through the middle here. And we can see that it's actually cutting through. It's actually hard to even see that this measurement is 7 because it's cutting through that. So we know if it's cutting through 7, that that's actually not going to be one of our sides, but we're going to take a look anyway. So we can see it's coming across here, coming across our front. And if I match that up, that's going to match up with my 5, and it's cutting back this way, which is going to match up with my 3. So the dimensions of this cross section are going to be 5 by 3. Okay, hopefully these notes were helpful. If you have any more questions, make sure you raise your hand and ask your teacher, but also feel free to go back and take a look at any of this if you need any further clarification.